Hey you guys, welcome back to Michael Claire to Arts. It's been just a hot minute since I continued on my quest to draw cartoon characters every single day in the month of February. That has not worked out quite the way that I wanted just because of life, business, family, you name it. Sometimes all those things get in the way. However, today we are going to endeavor to do 2 characters at the very least, maybe 3 depending on time, of characters from one of my favorite animated features that Disney ever produced. It is probably really up there with some of the modern classics that occurred in the 90s, such as Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, etc., etc. I am, of course, talking about Robin Hood. So, let's get started. And here we are at my standing drawing desk. You guys would notice I am not working traditionally today, and the reason for that is because I am currently reviewing a product and I don't have the desk space to continue with the traditional art pieces. I'm probably going to set up a separate desk the next time you and I come together. So, that being said, today, of course, we're going to be working on characters from Robin Hood. You would say, oh, first thing I'm going to do is Robin Hood. However, I am not. I'm going to actually be doing the narrator, which is the Rooster. I don't know his name. I think it's Rooster. And he is probably one of my favorite characters all along, just because of the way he narrates, the music, and overall is kind of like the Greek chorus. If you don't know what that is a tool used in theater to kind of narrate and go through complex themes in the musical or play. And you have the Greek chorus that kind of explain things that maybe you don't want to explain in the general production. And that's exactly what this guy does. So you will see that I, of course, and I mentioned working digitally today, something that I really didn't want to do whenever it pertained to all of these critters that I'm working on, because I wanted to have something afterwards that I could really say, hey, here's the body of work. It's traditional, and you guys could see the process that I generally use whenever creating characters. I typically will start out traditionally, then I will move on to the digital, whether it be a scan or something like that. But today, just because of desk space, I'm trying to at least get a video out for you guys, and hopefully that will be appreciated. If not, I get it. It is what it is. I can't change the facts on my side, and I'll try and do better for you next time. Hopefully that suffices. So, yeah, up here in the mountains, it is starting to be a little spring-like, which is divine. I am a spring person. I don't like winter. I don't particularly care for the temperature changes into the cold spectrum, but I do like me some fall. I like the change of seasons. For the longest time, I did not really have seasons, because I lived in Florida, and for those of you who live in Florida know what I'm talking about. You get maybe 1 or 2 days of winter, and the rest is summer, heat, humidity, and generally unpleasant weather. There, like I said, there's a few days where it gets in the 60s, 50s, and believe it or not, recently they had 20s. which is almost like Armageddon for them, because I can remember the news. Bring in your animals. Make sure your plants are shielded. Make sure all of this happens. And you're like, it's weather. And I didn't realize how ridiculous we were. Of course, you know what's funny is they freak out about cold, but hurricanes for a Floridian are just another Wednesday. Now, granted, if it goes past a certain rating for a hurricane, then Floridians know it is on. And that rating, at least for me as a Florida native, was the Category 3. Category 2, you could pretty much shore up your home, get stuff around, and batten down the hatches, as the proverbial people in the news would say. And you could be alright, as long as you didn't do a lot of travel, and hopefully a tornado didn't come and hurt you or destroy your home, because that happens, unfortunately, even in Florida. Tornadoes happen even in Florida. And Category 2s were pretty much, yeah, it's a Category 2, and Category 1, that's just, you know, we get thunderstorms up here in the mountains, but thunderstorms in Florida are an everyday occurrence. So that's something that, if you've never been to Florida, especially if you're going on vacation, just know that you will get a thunderstorm that will probably scare you to death. And that is the norm. What are you talking about, Michael? Yeah, thunderstorms there. There's lightning, there's thunder, there's super high winds. It's almost like a microcell. If anybody's ever been in a microcell, the winds are super high. You get tons of lightning. And it is quite frightening, to be honest with you. Every single day that happens, you get tons of water, and then within 30 minutes or so, it clears out. And then you get sunshine, and you get beautiful sunsets there, and yeah. So, but whenever it breaches the 3 rating and goes to 4, that's when, or actually whenever it goes from a 2 to a 3 is dangerous. A Category 3 is really one of those storms where you need to say, okay, I need to go, I need to get out. And if you are going to stay, you need to really be prepared for things that, gosh, I mean, super high winds, 130, 125, 130 mile an hour winds. You're talking, that's not just gusts, that's constant. And you could really, that is not a place you want to be at all. For your family, for your belongings, for whatever you hold dear, Category 3 is really no good at all. You can work through a Category 3 if you prepare pretty substantially, shoring up your house and whatnot, but again, that is just my take on the situation, and we're not even going to talk about Category 4. That's death. And of course, Category 5 is death as well. You don't want to go down those routes and say, oh, I'm gonna do the storm. I'm gonna have a storm party. It's Category 4. We're doing this. No, you don't want to do that. So anyway, I digress. Talking about weather. And I should be talking about drawings. So, Robin Hood is one of the very first animated features that I saw as a youngster, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I love the whimsicalness, I love the music, I love the characterizations, I love the humor. All of those things really are right up my alley. And of course, I didn't find out until later on in life that Robin Hood still included the 9 old men. The 9 old men that were really the creators of the Disney legacy of animation. Along with Walt Disney, of course. He was the purveyor of it and the kind of the leading guide. But the 9 old men were those individuals that really were amazing. It's amazing that they were able to do the things they did, especially in a traditional sense. In traditional sense meaning not having computers. Not having any of those digital tools like I'm using today, where I can do undos, or I can have the color palette that I have inside of the digital environment. And yeah, I think that the fact that the backgrounds were done traditionally, watercolor, painted, acrylic, gouache, stuff like that, should really speak volumes. I mean, they had massive amounts of people and manpower to be able to ink these movies, and the complexities involved, and the just the way they were able to do it at that time is absolutely unbelievable, in my opinion. Herculean. And then whenever you think, okay, you have Snow White that came out. If you look at Snow White, if you haven't recently, you really should. And then whenever you come back to some of these modern movies and you look, gosh man, Snow White was stinking unbelievable. Yeah, 9 old men. Very interesting bunch of people. Everybody had their specialty, but everybody was able to kind of rock and roll and make changes with their style and really adapt to all the movies. From Fantasia, oh my gosh, if you haven't seen Fantasia recently, yeah, you need to go back and you need to watch that. And I'm talking about the 2000 variant, which, again, a beautiful movie in its own right. However, the original Fantasia was kind of an experiment, and it didn't do too well at the box office, from my understanding. But overall, it definitely holds its place in the Disney legacy of movies of being amazing. So what I'm doing right now is trying to figure out here. It's got his pick right here. Make sure that I notice that. Okay. Not a complex character overall. I have drawn a lot of birds in my day. I am a bird person. I like drawing birds, the simplicity of them, from their bodies to their wings. And these characters are designed to be animatable. Let's go ahead and elongate this just a skosh. To be animatable, so they are simplified. And he's got clothes on, because why not? Animals in clothes. That's always a fun thing, right? I'll be tying this down now. Putting in some of these feather elements. You notice whenever I did this right here, I do things in such a way that really breaks things down into simple shapes rather than working on details. And that pretty much happens in all of my artwork, because I don't want to get mired down in details too quickly and have the anatomy incorrect, and then me having to go back and fix things when I really could have alleviated a lot of those issues in the beginning. And that's why I do what I do. Interesting. So what I'm doing now is I'm shrinking him just a bit so I can get access to the bottom of the feet. Alright, go back to my brush. So, if you haven't noticed, like I said, I am working digitally, and this is the unit that I will be reviewing. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Just know that it's going to be an epic review, and stay tuned, because I've already worked on it now for about 4 days, and I am pretty impressed. You guys know that I do reviews on this channel of tech. And definitely stay tuned because we have a lot of cool things happening on the channel. I think I say that a lot, but I enjoy new technology. And I always like to test things out a wee bit before jumping in. I used to wait to the day of the review, and I think there is definitely some need for stuff like that, because not everybody, I mean, sometimes I want to show you guys what I experience as it happens in real time. Oh my gosh, the driver doesn't work. Oh my gosh, the machine is malfunctioning. Oh, it's not as pretty and prim and proper as some of the other people have noted. There are issues with this. How do I solve said issues? I can't tell you how many times I've had people contact me. It's a lot, by the way. Probably maybe 5 a week with issues with the tech I review. Oh my God, how am I? And I'm not your tech support, first of all. I'm not tech support at all, but if I can help in some capacity, sometimes I'll make a comment back, because I do read all the comments, and I'll say, hey, try this, try that, and hopefully that'll solve your issues, because nobody likes issues with technology. I know I don't. Yeah. Issues with technology is no bueno. Yeah, okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to go through. I'm going to add a layer. Go ahead, do this. A little bit darker. We'll put some value in here. Just for giggles. So you guys can see this guy a little bit better. This, of course, is Rooster from Robin Hood. Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest, laughing at each other what the other one had to say. Saying this and this and that and having such a good time. Oodle-lolly, golly, what a day. Yep, that is stuck in my head forevermore. I love that song. Just a couple of pals trying to get by, doing good in the world. That kind of sounds like me. Are you comparing yourself to Robin Hood? Are you a prince of thieves? No. But I try to encourage the best that I can to those people that need it. There's enough poops going on around the world. This is literally a place where I'm trying to keep the poops out. It's going to be what we refer to as a poop-free zone, son. In my best Robin Hood Rooster voice. One of my favorite characters. Yeah, he might have been. I don't know who he was. Dog? No. I don't remember. We'll have to look at the list of characters. And he talked something like this. I love that voice. The Rooster. I could definitely come back, define some of these lines a little bit better, but at the end of the day, that's not what this exercise is about. T. We're going to draw. Ah! Oops. What is going on? Oh, there we go. I'm like, what is going on? Let's go ahead and put him up there. And we're going to draw the other ones down here. Add a layer. And you know what I need to do? I need to save. I haven't saved. Robin Hood. H-O-O-D. Fun, because we're having fun this morning. Oh, bringing it down. I don't want to do that. I don't want to misspell that. Save. Alright, let's get started on the next one. And we're continuing on. Now we're going to draw, of course, Robin Hood. Why wouldn't we? That makes sense, right? So we're going to go ahead and hide Mr. Rooster. And we're going to focus on Robin Hood. Robin Hood in this particular feature from Disney, I believe, is a fox. I love foxes. I don't think I've ever drawn him. I don't think I've ever drawn this character. This will be a challenge for sure. Yep, it's going to be a challenge. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a challenge. You guys may think all this is easy peasy, but it's not. It's not, it's not. It's not. I don't think I stress out as much as I used to. I used to be like, dang it! But as I get older, things change and my perspective changes, and I realize how much practice this stuff takes. It takes much more practice than what I originally really, I mean, I'm thinking, okay, one day I'll be able to do all this without any reference. That would be folly. The reference is there, use it. And the reality is, for me at least, not only is drawing a challenge, but it's fun. And whenever I'm having fun, I want to have fun. I don't want to be stressed about it. Let's go ahead and have this come down, because he's got his other little tuft that does this, and then that tuft comes down. Side of his head. Oh, that's really far. Holy moly! But I want to have fun, and if I'm drawing and I'm like, oh gosh, oh, ooh, ah, then I'm not really having fun. And then I'm like, I almost feel worn out. You ever have that? You feel worn out after you've done a drawing? And you're just like, why am I stinking so worn out? That happens to me sometimes whenever I'm working and I've got deadlines and stuff like that, which I have deadlines all the time, so I don't even know why it's even an issue anymore. There's only so much one person can really do in the confines of the time constraints they have during the day. You only have 24 hours, and typically you do an 8 to 9 or whatever work day. And that's all you can do. And then whenever you come to the end of that, you have to have that other side of the equation, which is life. And if you don't have that, and it's only work all the time, then you'll find out very quickly that burnout is a possibility. And I have been burned out before. And what I typically do with burnout is I squash it like a bug. I'm just kidding. Burnout is real. I basically, for me, I have to go back to the basics. I have to go back to my passion and my love, which is not only my family, but also drawing in general. And that's kind of where I go. I go back to drawing. And that's kind of where I was at with my recent endeavor to create some of these characters, cartoon characters, as well as animals. I'm an animal guy if you haven't learned, I'm an animal guy. I love animals. And I love drawing them. And basically, what has happened is just through the time that I spend working, it's just so stressful. And I have to have that passion or else... You know, what's funny is, what's her name? Catherine, she passed away recently. She was in Beetlejuice. I can't remember her last name. Wonderful actress, very funny. But she made something very funny talking about being creative, and this was in Beetlejuice, and how she talked about, if you stifle my creativity, I'm going to go crazy and I'm going to take you with me. And that is, whew, O'Hara? Catherine O'Hara? Is that her name? And yeah, that is completely true for me. I need the creative outlet to really balance, and it needs to be by my own choice. It can't be all work all the time. I have to be able to do things on my own. As you see the complexities involved in this, I'm trying to work through this and talk at the same time, which some people like, some people can't stand, but this is helping me because I am struggling big time, if you can't notice, with placement of things, with how this comes around, with gesture. It's a very complex character, and even this, he doesn't have an underbite or an overbite, but I need to make sure, and this comes around, and it goes down. Yeah, okay, all right. One of the things I like too about these particular years of animation is how rough. You can actually see the lines, and I think they did that because they kind of developed a new methodology, and I think it had to do with Xerox. And you can actually see the construction lines, and that, for me, is my jam. I love construction lines. I love seeing the process. It shows life in the drawings, and I just, I love seeing it. Do I like really sweet, clean animation too? Yeah, I do. But for me in my house, I likes the roughness. Okay, the nose is off. The nose is off. We're gonna go to here, over. And we're going to shade in a little bit right here. And a little bit right here. Okay. Comes around, and his hat goes around like this. And you can see the back of his hat right there. And this gets shaded in a skosh. Yeah. So now we come for the rest of them. Get this nice bean shape that goes here, then it goes into his waist, here, and then his arms. He's kind of shrugged. He's got these, this comes down, and since it's up, his chest is facing up like this. That shoulder right there comes here. And again, you guys know that I talk about doing that outer part of the hand first. Okay, another finger right there. I got that right there. I got that finger right there. Right there. And this helps me, because once I kind of get that here placement, it tapers down. Good. Right here. And you got these tufts that come right here because that is his arm. He's not wearing a long sleeve shirt or anything like that. And then this comes like this. And you can draw a little bit of a shape like that. And you have this little curve right there. You can draw that curve right there. And he is holding something, which is his bow. You've got a strap that comes, and you've got to have this collar right here. See, a lot of things happening at once. And since I've never drawn him before, I don't have the anatomy down. And I don't have the clothes down. If I were to draw him about 60 times, and you're like, are you kidding me? 60 times? It'd probably take more than that, for me anyway, because I'm slow whenever it comes to this stuff. I even tell clients sometimes, I have the capacity to be extremely fast, but my nature is that of a learning person, and to learn you have to take things a little bit slower, and that's what I do. I literally will take things slow. I will do things over and over and over and over again just to make sure I get things correct as it pertains to the character design. And these drawings have really pushed me because I'm not going slow. I'm going very fast, which is not like me at all. It's actually the anti-me, and you're seeing it in real time. Yeah, so like this finger right here is completely wrong. You gotta go a little bit in, and you have the other finger that kind of comes behind it and down, and you've got this thumb here, and it comes up like that. Yeah. So, like I was saying, it does take me a while to learn a character. I did some stuff for Cartoon Network back in the day, and I had the wonderful opportunity to draw Scooby-Doo for animation. I got to do character design sheets, model sheets, and that was one of my first jobs out of college, believe it or not. I did that for Cartoon Network, and I did it for Scooby-Doo and Powerpuff Girls. So they gave me existing stuff, and I had to do pose sheets. So right out of college, I got to experience one of my character dreams, which was Scooby-Doo. I mean, come on. Who doesn't ever want to draw Scooby-Doo? That in and of itself was like, are you kidding me? I get to actually do this? And that was a delight, let me tell you. But it took me, golly, I mean, a long time to figure Scooby out, because I talk about efficiencies, and you work efficiencies in to the way you do things, and especially as it pertains to one specific character. So I was doing Scooby, and I had to figure out ways, I'm going to do his belt here, figure out ways to create him and imbue character into him and not just copy what they had, because they wanted me to show new poses and whatnot, and that is challenging for sure. Let's go ahead and draw this. I got to get his quiver, and there's his bow right here. Around. Okay. Yep. Okay, that's pretty good. Just not going too much into detail. That's important. You don't do that. Let's go ahead and do his quiver. We are having some massive weather right now, and that is not pleasant. Let me tell you something. Up here in the mountains, people are like, it's so beautiful. I'm going to come to the mountains. I'm going to rediscover myself. It's going to be great. I mean, it's so beautiful. God's country. It's beautiful up here. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's nice. It's beautiful. But just like with anywhere, there are things that you have to remember. You are a guest if you don't live here. And even if you do live here, you're still a guest in nature. Now, I'm not a tree hugger per se, but whenever I go along and I see people that don't live here come, and they'll come for their little whatever at the fairgrounds, and then they'll litter and put their diapers on the ground for somebody else to pick up. Or you go mountain bike riding and somebody has let their dog crap in the woods, which is completely fine. Let the dog crap in the woods. But then they use a plastic bag, they pick up the crap, and then they put the crap on the side of the trail. And I'm like, okay, you curbed your pet, but you didn't take said Dookie. So that's unfortunate. Anyway, I'm ranting. I am sorry for that. So let's go ahead and get back to the drawing here. So here's the outfit. Goes here. It's kind of like a tunic. Now we go to the legs. Legs. His body is faced that way, so I need to make sure and place this to be able to balance that entire weight, because this is kind of a, because all the weight is on this leg. This is a balancing, right? And then he's got his tail, so I've got to have this come around. So I'm going to flesh these in really quick. Okay. Okay, gonna go a little bit further. Here, it goes here, and then it tapers in. And that leg right there. Okay, no. Nope, that's wrong. Maybe if I draw that here. Like right there. Okay, here. Kind of like the knee, and then it tapers back. There we go. Here. And then this leg. And then the tail comes up. And the tail comes out. It kind of goes like that. There we go. And then this foot is interesting because it's got a curve to it. I'm going to make sure I get the ground plane correct. There we go. Again, I do things in generalizations because it helps me concentrate on the pose a little bit better. And I can work all these other details out, like this right here, how it tapers and how that tunic basically comes out and around. Goes around, right. There we go, like that. Okay, here we go again. Yes, we are having springtime up here in the mountains, and praise the maker, because honestly, I don't like winter. People are like, oh, I love winter. I love how cold it gets. I love sitting inside and hot chocolate. And I like all that, don't get me wrong, but man, after 7 months of it, I mean, really, you're going to still be drinking hot chocolate? 7 months? There's a time for all that, and I don't want to do it anymore. Anyway, so, turning taper off, we're going to go ahead and shade in that quiver. Yeah, and then he's got these, let's go ahead and zoom in. Zoom in. He's got these little fur in his eyebrow right there. So funny, I can literally hear that song in my head right now. Singing this and that, having such a good time. Oodle-lolly, golly, what a day. I definitely am a huge fan of this movie. I will probably watch it after this. That's how much of a fan I am. I'll watch it today. La la la. Let's go ahead and do this. So I've done Robin Hood. I've got to do Little John. Little John. Yeah. It kind of goes around. Oh, I gotta finish that. It goes here and it tapers like that. All the way down. Goes like that. that's here. Kind of do the draw through. Give it a little bit of form. Don't be afraid to draw either. Some people are afraid that they're going to mess it up. Guess what, buddy? You're going to mess it all up. It's going to be terrible. You're going to mess it up. You're going to be humiliated. People are going to laugh at you. Blah, 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 blah. You know what? Who cares? Who cares if people are like, man, you can't draw worth crap. That's okay. You get better. I got better. You will. Be encouraged. Coming from a person who sucked in the beginning. And I can definitely say I don't suck as much. But definitely know that you're not going to suck forever. In case, unless of course you don't do anything about it. I used to draw back when I was 10. And I was good. My mom told me so. Good. When was the last time you draw something? It's been close to 35 years now. I'm sure I can pick it right back up. And then you pick it back up and you're like, I suck. You probably sucked back then too. Mom was just inflating your boat. My mom inflated my boat, dude. She inflated it, patched it, bought me a new boat whenever the other one didn't work so well. That's the thing. Sometimes it only takes one person to either encourage or destroy your dreams, but you have to be your biggest advocate for what you are doing. If you do not believe in what you are doing, you will not succeed ever in anything. Robin Hood. Let's go ahead and put a little bit of value in there like I did for this guy right here. Let's go ahead and get rid of him. What the other one had to say. Yeah, so you're like, why are you putting value in there? I don't know. This seems fun. I'm just kidding. This is kind of in preparation for maybe something I'll do later on, which is add color. Color. We haven't really gotten into color with this series, which I'm completely fine with, because honestly, color is a whole nother can of beans. Wax. Balls. Whatever. You have to have the basics down, in my opinion, before you can really get into some of those more complex ideologies as it applies to drawing. You want the principles of art to be in you as kind of a guideline. And then the elements are the basically elements, the tools that you use to build. So but if you just want to willy-nilly it, that's fine too. It's drawing, it's your drawing. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people really talk themselves out of things, is the fact that you have this daunting task of drawing and learning all of these things, but the reality is you can just have fun. I mean, golly, dude. You need to chill out. You know what? You know what's funny? And this is something that I think is sorely missed, is having humor about your failures. And we take things so seriously nowadays. And then we get online and we post online and people are so critical about everything that we don't realize that there should be a degree of humor as it applies to your failure. And even though your failure should be taken seriously in some respect, especially if you're trying to do things professionally or some capacity like that, but in the learning process, failure happens. And my My mom, God bless her, she's not with us anymore. She used to do things on a next level whenever it pertained to failure, because she was constantly failing at stuff. A lot of it had to do with just failing at life. She was probably manic depressive, and I didn't realize that until later on in life. Nah, I don't like that at all. And she, whoops. Okay. And yeah, she would always say if I felt sick or something like that, or if I had a bad day, and oh, Mom, I had a bad day. Well, you know what, Michael? You just need to go sit on the pot. What? You just need to go sit on the pot. You need to go sit on the toilet. I'm like, what does sitting on the toilet have to do anything with me feeling bad? My mom always used to say, if you feel bad, you need to go sit on the pot. I'm like, I'm not going to sit on the toilet to feel better about my life choices. Just go sit on the pot, trust me. Okay. And I would. And lo and behold, boom! What she was really trying to say is take a moment. Take a moment, get rid of the demons inside of you. No, the reality is she was trying to tell me to take a moment, reflect on the life choices, look at the fact that you have so many blessings pertaining to failures. Count your blessings. Look how many you have, and they will far outweigh your failures. Trust me, I'm an expert on this. So, let's go ahead on to Little John. On to our last drawing of the morning. If you just joined us, which hopefully you have been through the other drawings, working on Robin Hood, circa 1973. It's the first one we did right here. This is the rooster, kind of the narrator of the film. This is Robin, the fox and protagonist of the film, hero. Boom, boom. Now we're going for the balance, which is Little John. I'm not sure if Little John is the same voice as Baloo. I don't know, maybe it was. Probably is. Probably. Of course, what do I know? What do I know? What I'm doing right now is, of course, working in the balance of the piece. Because in this particular reference, Little John is leaning up against something. You can already kind of see head, body, line of action. Here's his arm. Needs to be a little bit more forceful like that way. Because you've got his shoulder, you've got his other shoulder right here, and then it comes like that. Boop, boop, boo. So now you can kind of see, and then the weight, that balance of weight, that big bowl of jelly, comes around, and you've got this, again, tunic. Everybody's wearing a tunic back then. But we're going to go ahead and work on the anchor. So, I don't typically have a lot of quote-unquote issues as it pertains to my mind's eye. That means I have developed the way that I see things in my head to help me draw. And that, in and of itself, has really aided me in progressing as an artist that can kind of visualize things. And that is something that has to be learned, in my opinion. Now, some people have, let's be honest, some people's computers and their brains are a little more powerful than others. That is the truth. And some people just have a natural ability to see things in a way that others cannot. And that has nothing to do with your talent. It has a natural ability. So talent, I think, can be really fostered and encouraged. But just know a lot of your talent really can come down to passion and hard work and how you view what you're doing. And I think at the end of the day, your talent and what you perceive as being talent is a small portion of your ability as an artist. A lot of it has to do with investing in yourself, practice, work, developing that creative bank account, which is reading, watching movies, observing, watching tutorials, and absorbing and changing and evolving and building on that foundation of your passion for this whole thing we call drawing. And yeah, it literally, whoops, why isn't that working? Are we out of power? Okay. My quick key remote is malfunctioning. Probably user error. Happens to me a lot. I don't know if you are in the same boat. For some reason that user error comes up a lot. User error. You're messing things up. What? I am not. How dare you? How dare you tell me I'm human? How dare you? Yeah. You need to get over yourself there, buddy. Anyway, what I'm trying to iterate to you is I am where I am today not because of a talent. I am where I am today because it is a combination of natural ability combined with a ton of passion and love for what I do, which involves a ton of work. And that is somewhere that I think a lot of people understand the concept of. Yeah, that's okay. A lot of work. I can do that. You mean you can do this? Well, it's kind of a combination of all those things. But I think drawing is definitely a skill that can be taught and is not for the person that basically, oh, look at me, I have incredible ability, and you'll never be able to attain any of that. Case in point, I had a guy, and he might be a fan of my channel, I really don't know, that I went to school with, and he was really big into wrestling, and he loved Disney movies, and he was just, yeah. Did he have a lot of ability? No. He was not good. Let's just, in terms of what he was presenting, I think a lot of it had to do with impatience, and he was very close to being expelled from school because he just couldn't cut it. He couldn't cut it, and the teacher that was in question didn't like him, and basically felt he didn't need to be there because you had to have a standard. At the school I was at, even though the school probably would have kept him anyway because they wanted his money. And the reality is the teacher would definitely have the say. And what made this whole scenario different was the fact that the teacher basically said, you have to prove to me that you deserve to be here. And had him draw a lot. And I'm talking a massive amount. A sketchbook a week or something absolutely incredible. And at the time, he and I talked, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry you're having to do this. And he's like, well, I understand why it's happening, but it does suck. And it did. I mean, imagine paying all this money. You get into the school, you get reviewed by the board to get into the school, and then you have a teacher that basically kind of singles you out and is like, you don't need to be here. And it was insulting and merited, but insulting. And that kind of sucked for him. And eventually, of course, he did graduate. He stayed, which is awesome. And he didn't end up using the degree and the capacity for creating artwork in the professional means. So he never became a professional artist. And he's paid all this money for school. But in the same accord, he was a good guy. But not everybody, like I had indicated before, not everybody has the capacity to be a professional artist, no matter what your passion. And that, because it takes a different, and that's one of the things the teacher kept saying, it takes a different person, level of a person, to do this kind of stuff for a living. And he didn't see, the teacher did not see the things in the student that really needed to be there at that particular level. I think he was maybe third year. And gosh, you get kicked out. You'd be like, can I get some money back? But the thing is he graduated and he ended up, he worked so hard and you could see it in his artwork. Did he change the world with his art? No, not at that stage, and he still hasn't. But I am confident it will come back. He will rediscover that passion. Let's go ahead and do this hand. That passion again for artwork, and it will come back. Right? Okay, let's do this. Get that belly right there. And a little bit further. Got that arm. Yeah, this particular character, again, I love big honking characters. They're kind of my jam. I love just the big, because you have, it's literally, Disney does this a lot. It's a dichotomy of characterization. You have this big strong character, and yet he's so gentle and kind, but when the time comes, he is a force to be reckoned with, and you cannot stop him. That is classic Disney and the way they do things, character design. Let's get that thumb right there. So they've done that quite a bit. Kronk is a really good example. If you don't know anything about Kronk, you should look him up. Emperor's New Groove. Again, that's probably top 3 Disney movies of all time. It was originally kind of a failure. Did not do well at the box office. But it's got a serious cult following because it is so funny. Anyway, Kronk, again, big honking character. And you have that dichotomy, which is he's a cook. And he likes cooking pastries, and he's constantly trying to impress Yzma, who is psychotic in every sense of the word, trying to kill the main character. And you're like, why do you want to kill him? He's so fun. Anyway, I know I've kind of gone off on many tangents while I talk because, again, let's go ahead and do this. Trying to work out the sketch so it makes some sense. There's that line of action right there. Comes down. And we've got this balance right here. His leg comes up, and then his foot comes down. And it's kind of like this. His knee. So let's go ahead and draw this. Big shape. We're going to go ahead and draw here out. And you got his hand that kind of loops around. You got these fingers that are tucked here. It's kind of pushing in. So we're going to go ahead and draw that. Here. There we go. Here. Now I need to consider his weight. So you've got this crease that comes around here. Comes up. His back muscles here, and then coming around here, you've got that arm. Again, this has to do with three-dimensional thought. and me trying to determine where the edge of that tunic is. The edge of the tunic comes here because there's a center line of his body, and this comes around, and then that sweeps like so. And he's got a belt. Belt, the belt. Again, that girth comes around like that, and it's just big. Why is that not working? My Command Z is not working on my quick key remote. Scratch. Okay. That knee comes around, literally. I got that foot. And there's the heel. Here we go. And again, remember I talked about that roughness of the drawing style, which I love. And then here's the leg. Come around here. Kind of tuck behind the other one. And then the foot is the balance. Here we go. So then, let's go ahead and draw up a little bit further. Good. And that, my friends, is Little John. Let's go ahead and round this off a little bit. Make it softer. Soft. Singing this and this and that, having such a good time. Whoops, but my Control Z, where the undo worked then. Why didn't it work before? Now I'm just going back, making sure I hit some of these things. He's got some eyelashes that come out here. Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's have a little bit of grass. Maybe there's a rock here. I don't know, a little rock, yeah. Okay. He's got his belt. I always look at little things like his belt in terms of animation. And little things like this are a big deal because of cost. How much more does it cost to work in his belt? And do you really need that? Discussions are had about stuff like that. It's one of the reasons why a lot of the characters have 3 fingers, because you can get away with 3, because 4 takes an extra whatever to draw, and you're saving $1 million by not drawing that 3rd or that 4th finger. People don't know or understand that. And plus 4, it's just on screen, it's like, oh, too many fingers. Right? I think about stuff like that, people. And I don't know why. Why do I think about stuff like that? Okay, let's go ahead and put in some value. That's all we're doing. So, I hope that I didn't bore you too much today with my semantics and my discussion about life in general. I tend to ramble, so my apologies for that, but a lot of times ramble are directly, oops, I found a mistake, are directly connected to what I'm doing. Drawing is fun. It's also challenging. And whenever you involve money and people, then the creative becomes a job. And a lot of people getting into this field should not be in the field because it requires a level, not only a level of understanding about the process, but also a thick skin that some people cannot handle. And that thick skin is essential. Being insulted personally on a level that some people cannot handle because of what you did visually. And my thing is art in general is a beautiful thing that we create. art, drawing. It's beautiful. Even if it's terrible, it's beautiful. Right? But my apologies for kind of going off on tangencies. But I guess that's who I am. I'm a tangency guy. Yeah. This character's big. He likes them big. He likes them chunky. If you don't know that movie, then shame on you. I remember seeing that for the first time. Oh, what was that called? What movie was that? He likes them big. He likes them chunky. That has to do with hippopotamuses. I forget the name of the movie. Anyway, I digress. We're focusing on Robin Hood. Anyway, this is today's offering. 1, 2, 3 characters from Robin Hood, 1973 Disney. We have the fox, which is Robin Hood. We have Little John, which is a bear. And then, of course, the rooster character. I don't know his name. Mr. Rooster? Who is the narrator, kind of the Greek chorus kind of guy. So hopefully you enjoyed today's offering. Keep an eye out for the review of the new machine coming out. I'm super excited, and hopefully you enjoyed today's drawing. Go out and do something fun today. Say hey to somebody you haven't said hey before, and try something new. And we'll see you next time. All right? Bye.